Anyway, we'll get there. And I think we are going to be recording any minute. Yes, we're recording. Hello, everybody. Jackie D signing in again here. And I have butterflies today. Look at this. Isn't this lovely? Apparently, it's luminous in the dark, so you can't lose me should it happen to go dark. But we're all right at the moment, so good. And I'm here for another one of my chats, my Jackie D in conversation. And today I have the lovely Francesca Cassini. Welcome, Francesca. Now, I haven't actually met Francesca yet. I will. As soon as we're let out, I'm sure we'll all start seeing all these friends that I've met over Zoom and Facebook and all the other social medias in the last year. So I'm really quite excited because sooner or later I'm going to meet all these lovely friends I've made that I haven't met yet. And Francesca is one of those friends. Now, before I went traveling, probably about 2 years ago now, I joined a group on Facebook called The Silver Tent for ladies perhaps with silver hair, over 50. It's a lovely community of women from all over the world. And at the time, I didn't do much with it because I then went off traveling and didn't really engage actually at all. And then last year, when I came back, something must have popped up and it grabbed my attention. And I started to look at this silver tent and thought, well, okay, what is this? Tell me more. I started to engage, got involved in a few things, and I am absolutely loving it. It's a really fantastic outlet for women my age. And in fact, I know a couple of younger women that are looking forward to being 50 so that they can get into the silver tent. It's just a bit mad. So Francesca has joined me today and we're going to have a little chat. We want to know about how the silver tent was birthed and a bit of Francesca's background. So I'm going to shut up for a bit now. Francesca, I'll hand over to you. What can you tell us about this marvelous community that you've created?
Oh, bless you, Jackie, for asking. And first of all, I just have to say I love the fact that you mentioned that a couple of women that you know are looking forward to being old enough to join the Silver Tent, because that is something that I'm aiming at creating, is this sense that rather than get anxious as women as we grow older, that we look forward to it, that we're inspired to go beyond, or to, to live beyond 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, whatever.
Yes.
And so it's really exciting to see that pan out. And yes, I think it's an enterprise or a community of its time. And I never thought, like a few years ago, I never thought that I would be involved in something of this nature. But I've always been in the service industry, or for a long time, I've been in the service industry. It's a bit of a serial entrepreneur, really.
Mm.
And this came about just over 4 years ago. And I was working as a writer for a spiritual tour company based out of Peru and loving it, but knowing that there was much, much more to come. And I just didn't quite know what it was. I thought it was more about writing than anything else. And just bit by bit through my intuitive journeys, I began to get this sense that I resonate most with women over 50. And just looking at that demographic was quite surprising to me. But once I saw it, it made an incredible amount of sense. And I'd been on a shamanic retreat, an elven shamanic retreat, run by Ellen Tompkins, who wrote Silver Wheel, The Lost Teachings of the Deerskin book. Now, I had no idea what that was about, but I just knew I had to go. And so I had 5 incredible days up in towards North Wales in this incredible environment, camping, doing this unusual shamanic work. And she said that we were there to really reconnect with our legacy from Lemurian times. And my conscious mind just went, yeah.
Okay.
as if, because I can be really skeptical at times about things like that. And but it was a beautiful experience. And 2 days after I got back from that, and I was on holiday from my writing job, so I still had a few days to recuperate and just chill out and you know, just enjoy not being busy. And I got a Zoom call from my boss in Peru. And he said, "I'm so sorry." He said, "I really hope this doesn't destroy your holiday, but I can only keep you on until the end of the month." Now, that was such a shock. First of all, it was my only income. And as far as I was concerned, it was completely open ended, and I had at least 6 months more of work. So it was such a shock to my system
I
that
bet.
suddenly my income would be taken away, and I didn't have any financial resources, no savings, no other work. I don't have my own home. I didn't have a business at the time because I was working for him. I had a really sick cat, and I lived in a tiny little caravan in someone's garden that I rented for much more than it was actually worth. And I was like, what am I going to do? And it was just a few days later, through some unusual kind of prompts, that the whole concept of the silver tent just dropped in into my consciousness, into my awareness, and I just went,
Oh, I
oh.
love that when that happens.
I saw the whole thing like this sort of crystal imagery of all these connections of how of the basic idea of bringing women over 50 who've lost their way, who've lost their sense of themselves. Maybe their children have left home, maybe they've left their jobs, maybe they've split up from their partners, whatever it might be. But I'd met so many women over 50 and 60 who had lost that sense of identity. You know,
Mm,
it's like, who are they? Why are they here? And that it can feel after menopause like you're just sort of going downhill, really. Um, so I got this sense that I connect, or the Silver Tent would connect women who'd lost their way with women who hadn't or had rediscovered it, and that put the two together so that everybody starts to really get that sense that we are wild, wonderful, and wise,
yes.
that we are valid and valuable with wisdom worth sharing,
Yeah.
and that it doesn't have to be a trajectory down at all, that menopause can be a portal into our innate wisdom,
Mm.
and that we have something phenomenally valuable to bring to the world. And I really see us a vast untapped resource.
Mm.
That's how it got birthed.
Okay. It sounds like a power. The word powerhouse is coming to me. You know, powerhouse of. I think one of the terms used for women our age is the crone phase. People coming into their crone phase, and yeah, an absolute interweaving of you say the two sections of women that have been there, have got the tools to help with those coming through, and vice versa, because we all learn off of each other. So the Silver Tent itself now, it is global, and you have how many members now?
In the Silver Tent Free group, we've got over 7,000 from
7,000.
all around the world.
Yeah, yeah, and it's growing. And it's growing, and there's some, as I was saying, there's something every day to get involved in. So the Silver Tent has that's where it started, and there's now several different arms to the Silver Tent. There's a Silver Synergy that I know about, and the Silver Seed, I think, and one or two others. I'm not quite
You like
sure.
to jump in here, Jackie. um, because the idea is to put women together to really reconnect with our own innate wisdom and
Mm,
recognize that we have something valuable to share, whether that's with our grandchildren, whether it's with our local community, or for those who get inspired to be on a larger stage, you know, any of that. But it's that reconnecting with our wisdom that's most important, so that we know that we have value.
mm,
But I realize that we're not just going to be a community going, oh, isn't it great, I'm wise. Like, you know, that wisdom that has to go somewhere. And often when you reconnect with that part of yourself, there's a passion that gets reborn. You know, sometimes it's those things that you wanted to do when you were in your 20s or 30s. I mean, I wanted to be a writer when I was like 8 or 9, but I was always told that that was just not a very good way of earning money. So I just didn't do anything about it. But since setting up the Silver Tent, I'm now a writer much more than I was before. And so what's been created is opportunities to take that wisdom out into the world. So Silver Synergy, which is the paying part that you belong to, that's a bit like an incubator. So you can come along with your projects and share with others and help develop them, prototype them, and learn. So often the people that come into Silver Synergy might not be facilitators in their own right at that particular time, but they're women who really want to explore their own wisdom and allow it to bubble to the surface. But we've also got the opportunity for people, our members to write blogs for the Silver Blog. We've got Silver Tent Radio, Silver Tent TV, all on ordinary platforms currently like Mixcloud and YouTube. But it's really bringing that wisdom into a form that can be shared beyond that. We want to run Silver Tent Publishing and start publishing those stories and that expertise, that wisdom in a form that will get out in the written word. So there's all of that. And then of course there's the work that we're doing with the little frequency device.
Yeah.
And then that leads into Silver Philanthropy. So let me know when you want me to share about Silver Philanthropy.
Yes. Well, do tell us a little bit about the philanthropy. I can't even say it. Philanthropy. Every time you say that, I just think you've got that word down so perfectly. I stumble over my tongue and trip myself out every time I try to say it. So I'm going to practice it. But I want to hear you say that again. Silver
Philanthropy.
Oh, beautiful.
It's such a beautiful word, isn't it? Philanthropy.
Yes.
And how many of us have dreamt of being a philanthropist? I mean, I think almost everybody I've ever spoken to at some point has always said, oh, I'd love to have so much money so that I could be a philanthropist. I want to have so much money because I want to be able to give it away. And I remember I've wanted to be a philanthropist for decades. And it occurred to me just as I was setting up the Silver Tent and Silver Synergy with the paying arm of it, that if it becomes really popular, then we don't have any fat cats, right? I don't need tons of money. I would like to earn enough to be comfortable and do what I love to do. But I don't need to be earning hundreds of thousands of pounds. I don't know what I'd do with it. So why earn it? And so the idea came about that if enough people joined, there would be enough profit to put into a charitable organization. So I thought about this. I did some figures, wildly inaccurate so far, but I did some figures. And I thought, what if we had enough women joining the paid side, that there would be a vast amount of profit that would then go into Silver Philanthropy, this charitable arm. And what if we then invited those Silver Sisters that had a burning project that they wanted to get off the ground, something that would be life affirming? Maybe it would serve humanity, or maybe it would serve women, maybe it would serve children or animals or the earth. It wouldn't have to be charitable, but it would have to have those really positive aims to expand life or cherish life in some way. So what if there were thousands of women out there that, if they had the resources, would want to get a project like that off the ground? And I'm sure that there are thousands of us who've spent our lives going, if only I could create da 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 da, that could transform the world. So what if we had a philanthropic, a financially viable philanthropic arm that invited submissions for projects of that kind. And then the membership would vote. The membership would vote on which ones they thought should receive the financial help.
Mm.
We would then put those winning submissions in front of a board that were really business savvy, right? To see which ones had legs.
Yeah.
And then not only put forward that financial support, but put them in touch with an array of experts to help them get that project off the ground. So that could be experts in web design, branding, finance, business building, whatever it is that they need.
Yeah.
And that those experts would come from the Silver Tent. So that financially and expertise wise, we would be a self-generating organism almost.
Mm.
But I just see all these incredible projects with all that support just popping up like little glowing lights all around the world.
Yeah.
And I believe that we can do that.
Yeah, it's just such an incredible vision, and I've seen it. You're already on your way with that, and it's just beautiful. And yeah, I'm certainly following with interest, and I'm in there, and I'm commenting. So that is that is all of the silver aspects of it moving forward. That is the future of the Silver Tent and all the different
Yes,
arms. So.
exactly. And I think one of the things that I love sharing is that it's all created from nothing.
Mm.
I didn't have any resources, any financial resources when I started the Silver Tent.
Mm.
I have my background in service industry as a serial entrepreneur, and I have the foundation of having been successful, but having failed a lot, right? So I know what it's like to do both. I know what it feels like to stumble and pour my heart and soul into something that doesn't make it financially. And I think that's a big message that I take out there, is that it doesn't matter what you'd love to create, even if you have nothing.
Mm.
If you've got the passion, the heart, and the drive, you will find a way. And so we're creating silver philanthropy pretty much out of nothing.
Yeah, yeah. I
But
think
I do, yeah, I see it as
perfect. Yeah,
happening.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think looking at where I am now, I'm in my um, mid to late 50s, and we go through life, don't we? We get married, we have kids, we live what we call a normal life. I mean, not everybody, their life goes in that way. And we acquire the house, the cars, the fancy kitchen, and everything else. And then we get to this point, certainly from what I've observed, that what next? We get to this age, and we know we've got something more to offer. We know we've got gifts, and it's sort of, we either stagnate or we grow. And life changes. Big shake-ups often happen to people in their 40s, 50s. They get divorced, and life gets turned upside down. And then you think, well, what next? What am I here for? And that's when I certainly began to look at, well, what is my life purpose then? What am I here for? My kids have all grown. They, not that they don't need me, but they don't need me so much. They've got now getting on with their own lives. So what next for me? And I think, well, at first I thought, well, I'm too old to start anything. I can't have a career now. And, there's nothing left for me. I'm just going to sit on the shelf. And but then you start to think about people like Louise Hay, who didn't start Hay House until she was in her 50s. I'm not sure about J.K. Rowling. I know she would write in a cafe. She had nothing. She had literally nothing, and has grown this huge empire with Harry Potter. So that sort of gave me hope. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to be Louise Hay or J.K. Rowling, but there's something for me. And this is what's nice about the Silver Tent, that you can explore that. You can see what other ladies are doing. Lots of the Silver Tenters have written books, and I love it that I now know these people. I've got so many friends who have written books, and I keep those books because I know the person that's written them. And I'm quite proud of that. I've got a big stack of books that are written by people that I know, and I say a lot of them have come through the Silver Tent. So yeah, and if you're a lady over 50 or even near 50, because start looking at it now, 49, 48, 49, because you can be in there, your 50th birthday. And
I think one of the things that I love, Jackie, is I love your story, and it'll resonate with so many people, that sense of, having been married, got the house, got the children, got the nice kitchen and everything. Because I didn't have any of that. I never did get married. I never did have children, and that's been quite hard to accept. Actually, I don't quite know how that happened, and anyway, so I don't quite know how that happened. But what I also love is that we can change our life for the positive, no matter what's happened before. But the Silver Tent doesn't insist that you have to. So you can come into the Silver Tent and not want to
yeah,
create something extraordinary. You might just want to be with like-hearted people and explore who you are without there being any push and prod to me more than what resonates with your heart. I
yeah,
think that's the important thing. Is
absolutely, yeah,
like if you're shying away and hiding from something because you're scared, that's one thing, and we would support you in moving forward. But if it's not your role to stand up on a big stage, then we're not going to push anybody
no,
into doing that. But it's that real exploration of who you truly are, and what gifts you have to share, and to know that every single one of us has gifts worth sharing, and doesn't matter how different they are.
yeah. And personally for me, I love being on stage. Put me in front of an audience and I'm absolutely fine. But having said that, it's the number two fear, isn't it, of a lot of people, speaking in public, that is just don't want to know. So that, yeah, the tent is for everybody, regardless of where you are in life. And I've just got one more question, because I'm sure we've gone over our 10 minutes. We've gone over our 15 minutes too. Just one more question I want to end on. Right now that we all know the world's in a bit of a mess, so if you have got a very short message to share with the world, what would that be?
Well, I got asked this morning. I've got an article coming out in Kindred Spirit at the end of February, and they wanted me to have one quote of the best advice that I ever received. And so I think I'm going to share that, because it helps alleviate the greatest fear, which is around the fear of death, which we're not going to escape, really, are we?
No.
And the advice that was given to me was from Jeanette Kishori Mackenzie, who of course is a member of the Silver Tent and Silver Synergy. And it was when my cat died. And she sent me a message and she said, I can feel you getting lost in the grief over his death. She said, I recommend that every time you feel his loss, you choose instead to feel his presence.
Oh.
And I went, yeah, okay. And then thought, yes, right. And then I just felt his loss, and I went into this huge, sort of upwelling of grief. And I went, oh no, let me feel his presence. And I dropped down into this place where it was sort of like following the tail of my grief. And all of a sudden, there was this energy that just whooshed up through my body. I had a huge smile on my face, and that loss was eradicated. Came back lots of times, but in that moment, I felt his presence so powerfully.
Yeah.
Like I can feel it now, that I know that he hasn't gone anywhere. He just stepped out of his cat suit, popped into a different dimension, but energetically, he is still, his essence is present. And I think if we all were able to engage with that concept, that our physical bodies might not remain, but we do,
Yeah.
then
Beautiful.
we can't be cowed or scared into doing anything we don't want to do ever.
Yeah. Thank you. That's just beautiful. That is wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me, Jackie.
Oh, I love it. I do love all this connecting and sharing, just sharing our stuff and presenting that to the world so other people can join in too. And it is all about sharing and caring. So thank you for watching this 10-minute that wasn't 10-minute interview. Join me for the next one. Not sure who's coming up next, but it'll be on the Jed Talk site, and the information and the links about how to get into the Silver Tent I will post on when I share the video, and I will see you all on the next one. Until then, take care. Bye bye. Thank you again, Francesca. I'm going to stop the recording now, and I'm going to go to the right place, which is down the